Welcome to ZBTR TV.
The goal is to unearth and document the Zambian narrative in the best way possible.
Catch us live every Saturday on Facebook and YouTube.
We broadcast every Saturday at 10 a.m. EST, 7 a.m. PT.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
Be part of our journey. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
With a growing audience across the globe, we connect Zambians and share resources abroad.
The ZBTR TV show.
Did you know? Less than 10% of our viewers are subscribed. Don't miss out. Be part of the community. Mark your calendars. Every Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Flow live.
Welcome to the show. Hello. Welcome to the show indeed. Welcome to ZBTR TV. It's Saturday. It's the last day of February in 2026. Amazing how time is flying. Well, that's the way it is. We have what? March, April, May, June, July, August, 6 months to election time in Zambia. And everything is just moving so fast. All right. Those of you that are joining us, I want to encourage you to tag a friend, share this show, share the link. We are on Facebook, ZBTR TV. We are also on X, which used to be Twitter, and we are on YouTube. Please subscribe so that you don't miss any show that comes up. Okay, CDF. If you are Zambian, that's, you know what CDF is. It's for those of us, of our colleagues joining us who are not of Zambian origin, or you just don't know what CDF is. It's Constituency Development Fund, okay? And according to the information I have, a CDF was first approved by Parliament in 1995 to finance micro community projects for poverty reduction. I have a panel of educated people here. They're going to explain to us what micro means. Some of us were in Group D when we were at school, so some of those things are a little bit challenging. Okay, we are not going to waste time. We have a lot of ground to cover. Tell a friend ZBTR is on, and we are talking about CDF. Mr. Henry Sakala is not a stranger. Has been on this show before. My brother, good morning.
Good morning, Pastor Nathan Inkama, and good morning, viewers. Depending on your GPS, I said good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yeah, people are everywhere. My brother from another mother, rather.
Good to see you, Adele. I'm glad to be on the show again. Good evening. Good morning to our viewers. Thank you.
Yes, welcome. And my friend and colleague, and I don't know what other else to fill in the blanks here, Pastor Campbell, welcome. You've noticed when I'm introducing these men, I'm not putting any titles. I'm not saying what political affiliation they have. That is of no relevance here. We're going to have a candid conversation, okay? Pastor Campbell, New York, welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part, all right. Yes. I know. I saw that 1 foot, or is it 2 feet snow?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
All right, my other brother also here from, who's my neighbor, Kunchelenge Kuluapula, Bakombe Mwaiseni.
Hey, I'm Kwaivan Kama. Thank you for having me, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you catch the program from.
And finally, the big dog of ZBTR, the friend who became my brother, and I'm getting ready to come to Canada, Chairman. Are you ready for me?
Always ready, brother.
Until
always ready.
Until the snow goes down. Until the snow goes down. You know,
Yeah, we have 30 centimeters right now.
Yeah. Okay. CDF, this show is sponsored by Buying Property in Zambia. Before we come back, I want you to listen to this message.
Another year has passed. You're a Zambian living abroad and you still haven't made progress on your property investment goals. Does that sound familiar? The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack ambition. A lot of people fail because they just don't have a clear system to follow. And when you live abroad, the whole process of buying property can seem even more confusing. Lucky for you, we have just the thing to turn your property dreams into action. Join us for an exclusive session where we'll break down proven strategies to help you set, sustain, and achieve property goals in 2026. You'll even get a workbook to help you map out your own personal property investment plan. If securing your financial future through property is important to you, then sign up using the link below and join us for our property goal setting session for 2026. In just one session, you'll walk away with expert strategies to help you set achievable property goals, step-by-step guidance on budgeting and smart investment tips, and a structured workbook to help you prepare your own personal property plan. This is one webinar you can't afford to miss. Sign up now and start 2026 with a solid plan. The webinar is taking place on 28th March at 17 hours Zambian time. So register now using the link below and we can't wait to see you there.
All right, that's our sponsors for this program. Buying property in Zambia does not subscribe to whatever is being discussed on this show. They have no political affiliations of any matter. They are simply sponsoring the program, okay? We need to make that clear before we have a bunch of people storming their offices in Lusaka. No, please. They're just inviting you to the diaspora community to a webinar so that they help you with property setting goals. All right, our conversation is about CDF, which is Constituency Development Fund. And the first question I'm going to ask, I'll direct to Mr. Mwene. The reason I direct this question to you is because I know it's people need to understand first of all that this was not started by UPND have made it popular. They've brought it out there, but it was not started because we need to make that clear to our Zambian people, okay? This was started in 1995. Mr. Mwene, could you explain to everybody what prompted the establishment of CDF? Just explain that.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So earlier on, I think you alluded to when this whole idea of CDF came into play in the Republic. You said 1995, through a vehicle that was called the Constituent Development Fund Act.
Okay.
Now, to your question, I'd like to mention three things. Number one, the mandate of the act was very clear and simple, and it was very ambitious. One, to decentralize development away from Lusaka. So all of us know, obviously, that Lusaka is this whole big thing in this Republic of Zambia, and we want, so government was very ambitious. It was a political calculus to move all these big projects into different constituencies, to decentralize the power of the unitary government, decentralize that. Number two, to finance micro projects at community level. Now, I think your point was what is micro? Micro is basically small scale.
Okay.
Small scale.
Thank you for helping us by Group D.
Absolutely. The third point I would like to highlight here is obviously to reduce poverty, number one, and dismantle the delays of central government bureaucracy. Now, there are so many other reasons, but to me, I find these three as key ingredients to why CDF, was born in 1995. So that was a bold move by government designed to transfer power and its resources from Lusaka to the grassroots.
Okay.
Period. Yeah. So I'll pause there.
Good. Well done. Pastor Campbell, political parties, when they assume power, they have a tendency to create certain things with a little hidden agenda. The reason I say that is that can we recall whether this was driven politically or the motive was a pure motive? The example I would like to give is, you remember Mwanawasa created a position called district commissioner, okay? Because he lost control of the councils when PF was coming with a surge. So there's literally like took over the councils, running of the councils when MMD was in power. To your recollection, what motivated this?
I think the biggest thing that motivated the development of CDF was really decentralization.
Okay.
Because when MMD came into power, there was this idea that a lot of development was centered around Lusaka and the urban areas. And so how could we take development straight to the grassroots? And therefore, they developed the Constituency Development Fund as that vehicle that is going to bring development at the constituency level. So the micro projects were a big thing. So I think the motive in the beginning was pure centralization. And as you will see from our presentation, I've divided the journey of the Constituency Development Fund into 3 phases, really. And we'll learn a lot from that, I think.
Okay, we'll learn from that. Henry and Francis, I want you to address this question. How has CDF been implemented and managed since its inception?
Thank you very much, Mr. Nathan, Pastor Nathan Nkama, or Dr. Nathan Nkama. Before I touch that, let's say it was it started in 2025, and what was the motive? If you see in 1995, how much was the CDF? Was that amount, was it able to make the people in a constituency develop? The idea was right, but the implementation was wrong. It was like giving to their party, because that money was not doing anything. It was just going maybe in the pockets of the people. The idea was perfectly right, and but the delivery and the amount of money which they were giving to the constituents, it was not enough to develop the constituency. So you have the right thing, right documentation, but the amount of money for decentralization was just a drop in the ocean.
I like that point. That's a good observation. Continue.
Now, coming to your question, repeat your question again, because I was taken by the other thoughts.
How has the CDF been implemented and managed since its inception?
The idea and the documentation of how it should be implemented is right. And in some occasions, it has been implemented well, but in everything there are advantages and disadvantages. I'll just pick one aspect of the CDF.
Okay.
I'll take the aspect of the 20%, which goes to grants and loans. A grant is free. A loan you should pay. Ask the constituents committee how many people have paid back the loans which they have been given.
Yeah, that's another.
And how many people have developed from the grants which they have been given? Yes, some have done well, some haven't done well. So it's 50-50 depending on who you ask and the constituency you take and see what has been done. Because we understand that The old CDF is divided into, is it three part? There is 60% which goes to project, 20% which goes to grants and loans, and the 20% which goes to bursaries and skills. But within that 60%, there is a 5% of emergency in case of floods, bridge, in that 60%. But all in all, some people have used it well and others haven't. But there are some holes somewhere where it has been skipping out, like the one I told you about, the grants and the loans.
Okay.
Because, yes.
Francis, same question to you.
Thank you so much, Wankama. I just want to add to some of the points that were laid by Kambo and my brother, Mr. Mwene. I don't want to get in trouble. Mwene, I haven't seen you in a while. That's why you need to be seen. But coming back to the point, I think CDF, the main reason was, of course, trying to decentralize the government. But it was also a political move. It was a political move by the MMD to try and make sure that their party was seen on the ground. So it was both patriotic and also a political move. And if you look at the first years of CDF, unlike what is happening now, the composition of the committees, there wasn't so much power or light shone on who constituted that committee. Today, under the UPND, everybody knows that you need representatives from the chief, you need representatives from the church, you need representatives from the MP's office and youth. So all those people now have a say. In the beginning, it was constituted like that, but the people who had much of the power to decide where the money was going to go were political people, the people affiliated with the party in power. So it was both a political thing and just a patriotic idea. Great idea altogether. Coming to your question, Bankama, you said, how has it been administered? I would give it a B, a strong B. Is it a perfect program? No, it's not. But for those that think what is happening now really has no significance, you should go around the country and find out. Just yesterday, I was watching the Paramount Chief Mpezeni commending HH and the UPND government on how they've been addressing issues in Eastern Province. He talked about when we cry, you show up, you give us this money, you help us in this sector. He even mentioned programs like the school feeding programs. He mentioned things like bursaries. He mentioned things like projects for women. People need to understand that CDF now has been amplified. In the beginning, there were just certain things that were handled in the constituencies. Today, even things like bursaries now, instead of the government deciding in Lusaka, that mandate has been given to the constituencies. Why? Because we have a president in HH who believes that money should not stay in Lusaka. If we want the whole country to develop, the money should be in the hands of the people. And that's what he's doing. And his main emphasis, HH ran on this. This is nothing foreign. He amplified why he believed in CDF. During a time when he was just a candidate, he said he wanted to reduce even things like corruption. Because when you put money in a centralized place and only a few have access to decision making, that breeds corruption. So the president saw it fit that some of the programs like bursaries should be handled at the constituency level. So we still have it's a living, see, for me, the way I look at CDF, it's like the constitution. It's a living and breathing process. We are going to continuously refine it to perfect it. Now, there are situations where by Henry mentioned how many people have returned loans.
Okay, we shall get to that. We shall get to that. Let's now, one of the big issues, concerns that have been raised about CDF chairman is how the CDF the Constituency Development Fund Committee are structured and selected. That's one of the, isn't this where the recipe for nepotism begins, Chairman?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Let me bring, I'll address it, and that is a very critical point you bring. Vasakara actually mentioned about the small amount which used to be there.
Yes.
As recently as 2021, CDF was only 1.6 million. 2021, 4 years ago, is it 5 years ago? It was only 1.6 million. And according to how the PF were distributing this money, it only used to go to places where they were voting for them. And even there, it was not even enough. 1.6 million. What can 1.6 million do in a constituency? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And come to 2025 today, we are grateful. We have 40 million. And for me, who has always been an advocate, an anti-Lusaka guy, I want HH by the time he leaves office, CDF should be 100 million. And we should be like the way the Republicans here in America.
They higher the amount, the more they're stealing.
They make the people sign the tax promise not to raise taxes. Even in Zambia, we should make every politician who comes, you should never cut CDF. You cut CDF, you are out of here. That is the promise we have to make. Back to your question. Yesterday I had a discussion with the CDF chair in Ndola, and I think that subject we never touched it. But if you look at the entire the way it is structured, it is very, very easy in my view. And I hope by the end of this program, we shall have a project, so to say. How do we tackle the issue of nepotism? Not only after the discussion is gone, we forget about it, but how do we want to be part of it? One of the things I would like to propose, members of the Zambia diaspora should be part of the committees in the CDFs, where we come from. Me, I'm a Kitwe guy, in Ghana. I should be in that constituency. We should find a way of being in that constituency. And maybe, just maybe, we can have a little bit of influence. But room for nepotism, yes, might be there. But we need to find a way of addressing it.
Because my concern here, Pastor Kambo Ali, is the reading that I did and what I found out is that the suggested names of people, of course, from categories are sent to the minister. Why should one person or one officer or one office be given so much power to make a decision on 156 constituencies? I have a problem with that.
Let me jump in, Chair. When we are discussing important topics like these, I always want to put myself on the other side of the aisle, okay? And that's the reason why many of us here, including myself, when I travel to Zambia there, I always want to go in the constituencies. Yes, I want to bring this topic down to the floor, down to the citizens. Can you and I today go in the rural communities and ask, have you benefited from this CDF? Many people will tell you they haven't. Not because they are meant to be excluded from this program, but it's because of the bureaucracies and the red tape around these projects. Okay, I want us, when we're discussing these topics, Chair, we bring it down to the ground level. Okay? Yes. Because every citizen in our country matters. Now,
let me before you continue,
Yes.
You know, I agree. These things can be sensitive. We tried to bring people from Zambia to speak from their experiences, but you know how it is. Everybody was like, no. You understand the way where they were coming from when they said no?
Absolutely.
I've spoken to about 15, 20 people about this from about almost the same number of constituencies. Okay. I am moderating here. I don't need to give my position. I want to hear from you. Because of the 20 people I spoke to, only 2 gave me a positive response.
That's what I'm talking
Continue,
about.
champ. Continue, leaders.
So the point here, leaders, is that let's just be real for a minute, okay? It's good, it's good. I love what Wakonde was speaking here. Look, I'm a UPND guy, and I know these things, and I always want to challenge the status quo. When we begin looking at these issues, we have to be very objective. Number one, the challenges and the criticisms around the CDF. We cannot deny the fact that there's political influence. Remember, when we go back to why CDF was created, it was because the government then felt what they called rural neglect and uneven development across the country of Zambia. So they had to do something about that to obviously equalize the distribution of wealth from the capital into the constituencies.
Yes.
The challenges and criticisms, and this is real. That's why when we roll the dice into the constituents, everybody is going to give you probably a C minus, right? D minus, the lowest score on what we have done. Not because we haven't done a good thing, but there's a few things here that I'll quickly highlight, and Bakambo can jump in here. Political influence, okay? And you talked about the appointments, the CDA committees are appointed by a minister and all of that. Chair Charlie talked about favoritism and nepotism. To me, that's a big problem right there, because the politicians can tend to wield their political calculus into these areas, and they will obviously influence the composition of these committees. Number two, what I may call capacity gaps. Capacity gaps borders into areas that I may call, you have to be connected, right? I get so many people that are approaching me, Bamwene, you're connected. We need some connections with government contracts. That is a capacity gap right there. You don't have to be connected to
qualify.
That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you again. Yeah, Scholar Bankam, I appreciate that. The third point, it has to do with transparency and public participation. If something has to work for the majority, and we're talking about rural communication gaps here. You talked about communication gaps in the UPND Banka. We have to understand that these gaps, they pose a threat and weaken the monitoring of some of these projects. That is very clear, okay?
To your point, as we are going, look at what Lahilda is saying. Citizens don't have full information, and the government should go in all corners of the country to give information. Okay, I just thought I should throw that in before we go any further. Continue. Then Pastor
I think I rest my case, because this is exactly what was brewing in my brains here about why are we not doing a good job to educate, to communicate? Because I see a lot of inconsistencies in how these projects are implemented. So let me
Okay, Pastor Campbell, jump in. Same question.
Let me take it from another perspective, because for me, as yes, many people know me as a pastor, but one of my jobs and qualifications is an organization development consultant. And so when I was given this topic, I was approaching it from that perspective. And I think it's important for us to give a historical context. Let me just give, and I'll be quick, Bankama, because I think the slides that I have may help us. Okay. So the first thing that we have to understand is the history of the CDF, right? When you timeline it, when we began in 95, it was really just a program. Okay. It's not until 2016 that we begin to think about what is the constitutional backing and standing of this program. Okay. And so from 2016 all the way through 2025 or 2026, what Parliament has tried to do is strengthen the framework around the Constituency Development Fund. Okay. So what I've done is I've divided it into 3 phases for us to understand exactly what was happening in terms of funding, etc. So the first phase, I call it the symbolic era. The symbolic era really was what I think even Bakombe alluded to this, and Mamweni has talked about, the origins may have been political, right? So in the late 1990s, when you look at allocation to CDF, it was only 30,000 kwacha. Translated to today's money is only about $1,000 to $2,000. So it was really mostly symbolic. And when we start moving into the 2000s, we're still less than $50,000 per constituency, right? But then we begin to see a little bit of the impact, but there were a lot of structural problems. And that carries through the 2010s, but it is still less than $100,000. So in this symbolic phase, we see that there is some political will of sorts to bring development to the grassroots. And then the second phase was really what I call the pre-expansion plateau, right? And this is between 2011 to 2021. And this is where I think Roger talked about the 1.6 million. That amount of money stays consistent through those years up until 2021, but still in today's money, you're still just talking about $91,000, right? For a whole constituency. Remember, now they have put scaffolding at this point in terms of what this CDF is really supposed to cover. And when you look at $91,000 for all the hundreds of thousands of people in a constituency and the development needs that are required, it was not enough. So up until this point, the capital that was put into CDF was not transformational at all, right? And then now we jump into what I call the Big Bang expansion, you know? And this is where UPND comes in. And when you tabulate this, when you just look at from 2021 to 2026 in terms of CDF allocation, so you go from 1.6 million, which was the baseline in 2021, and then you have this big jump from 1.6 to 25.7 million in 2022, which is now about $1.5 million. That is about a 16-time jump in terms of funding, okay? And we keep on seeing that until 2026. Yes, they're allocating 40 million. My point is this. You had a system that was not ready for this kind of expansion. No capacity had been built within the system to handle this kind of money coming into a constituency. So I remember even the jailed politician Bowman Lusambo saying, you can't give all this money to Kabushi constituency. They wouldn't know what to do with it. And we laughed at him. But the point I think he was trying to make was we do not have the local capacity to handle this 16-time jump. And I think that's where we needed to kind of sit back and go, okay, how do we build capacity? Because when you look at these numbers nationally, this is where now I think the politicians start to get scared of this, because when you now tabulate with all the constituents, you're talking of 2022 is 4 billion kwacha or $228 million for all the constituencies. Okay. And now we are around $261 million as of 2026. Okay. So for me, the biggest problem that we have had is this capacity expansion. Now, that is not to say that CDF has not been beneficial. So in my view, there are really three successes that we can point to. Point number one being that it has become a serious decentralization instrument. Now, of course, this is very dependent on the MP, depends on a lot on the constituency and how they're working together. There's also been some delivery success. So meaning that, there are visible community infrastructure and education inputs. We cannot run away from this. People are benefiting from it. And the last success, I would say, is the participation success, where you see citizens have now a clearer entry point into local development, whether they're doing that through their children going to school, accessing bursaries, or clinics being built, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that is not to say there are not any failures. If you want me to go into some of the challenges, I have about 6 failures that, to me, need to be fixed within CDF. But I don't know if anybody has any questions so far.
Okay, we can go back. We can get back to that. Any comments on?
Let me add to Cambo's presentation on capacities, especially. Yesterday, when I spoke to Ndola CDF gentleman, I asked him a question as to why Kanchivia in Northern Province seem to be doing so well compared to CDF in Kitwe. So he said one very critical thing. In Kitwe, at the end of the day, one engineer, quantity surveyor, is supposed to visit all the constituencies which are in Kitwe, and there are about 6 or 7. Chimwemwe, Kitwe, Kwacha, Luangwa, Katuishi, maybe Nkana. So he's supposed to visit all these to approve, to assess, to make the assessments of the project. And remember, each constituency has about 10 wards. Wow. Each ward has got its own projects which they're supposed to do. So he is supposed to go to each and every one council. Is one person from city of Kitwe is supposed to come from there. One individual. In Kanchiria or Kasempa, there is only one constituency. So one engineer, one town engineer from, let's say, Kasempa I'm used to, it's easy for them to go and visit and approve a project. So this is a huge issue, especially in the towns. I don't know constituencies in Lusaka. How many are there? Constituencies in Dola. How many are there? And then you break them down to wards. And I thought this is a major problem.
It is.
Can I come in, Bankama?
As the people, the diaspora, we have seen, I don't know, AI technology has come. We need to wear our technology boots, our creative thinking. How do we help? How do we need to help our nation, our country, to help this problem?
Okay.
You know, to me, again, I'm a UPND as well, but like Brother Kombe, I'm a strong B. It's a B, strong B. Does it need our improvement? 100%.
There are a lot of loopholes, but Francis, come in.
Thank you so much. I'd like to agree with everything that has been said. Just to piggyback on what Roger said, I agree also, being a UPND guy, that yes, CDF needs some work done. It has to be refined. For instance, somebody had mentioned that, I don't know if it's you, Ankama, that the powers to appoint who is in the committee has been placed in one segment. I would like to disagree with that. It's not the minister or the member of parliament who picks people to belong to the committee. The people who are in charge from the committee, the minister and the member of parliament, they go to these groups. For instance, the church. the clergy, the youth, from the chief. They ask them to submit names of people they feel should be on these committees. So when those names are submitted, that's when now the minister handles it. So they don't pick from Lusaka to say, I know Chongo, he plays soccer in Kasama, this boy is 17, I think you're going to be on the committee. That's not how it's done. I think the Zambian people should know this from the beginning. Now, should the system change? This is what I would propose for the committees. Going forward, and maybe in the president's second term, maybe as UPND, we should push legislation to make the committee members of CDF be elected. They have to be elected by the people in those areas. It's very important. And then they have to be given a tenure. For instance, the president's term is, the MP's tenure is 5 years. Let those guys sit for 2.5 years, then do an election again. If we are giving them all that money, then we can afford to run elections so that they are chosen by the people themselves. If something goes wrong and the money goes wrong, they will be penalized. Now, I wanted to talk about some of the things that Ali had mentioned.
Yes.
He said, if I quote him right, he said, and he's my brother, I love him dearly. He said, many people have not benefited from CDF. The opposite, I think, is true. Brother Ali, if you go to those constituencies, if you look at free education today, most numbers of the 120,000 kids who were not in school, who are now in school under HH's leadership, are coming from the rural areas. If you ask those people about Ali who are telling you that they haven't benefited from CDF, you should ask them, what do you mean that you personally have not benefited? Does it mean that you, as Chongo Mtale, you don't have a contract with the government? Does it mean that you haven't benefited? What about the road that's being constructed in your constituency? What about the clinic that has been brought because of CDF? What about the desks that have been provided to that primary school? I know, Bana Mtale, that you don't have a school-going child, but those desks have been produced. What about that child in that constituency that had good grades? Right now, as I speak, I have a brother and my brother-in-law and my sister. Their child now is at UNZA. First year in natural sciences. He qualified through the CDF program. Okay? So does it mean that the neighbor who doesn't have a child can say, we don't benefit from CDF? I think these are things, again, that the government should explain to people also.
Exactly.
Benefiting
That's like
from the program.
said, information.
We haven't done well. And I agree, we haven't done much. We haven't done so well to explain CDF and educate. And this is something that I see in the president's second term. But we all benefit if the lights come up, if the school is done, the road, the cash. Well, we have 6 months. we have 6 months.
All right, Bakombe, let's take a commercial break here, and we'll come back and we shall look at the concerns that were raised by Transparency International, and we'll also take some comments.
Another year has passed. You're a Zambian living abroad and you still haven't made progress on your property investment goals. Does that sound familiar? The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack ambition. A lot of people fail because they just don't have a clear system to follow. And when you live abroad, the whole process of buying property can seem even more confusing. Lucky for you, we have just the thing to turn your property dreams into action. Join us for an exclusive session where we'll break down proven strategies to help you set, sustain, and achieve property goals in 2026. You'll even get a workbook to help you map out your own personal property investment plan. If securing your financial future through property is a important to you, then sign up using the link below and join us for our property goal setting session for 2026. In just one session, you'll walk away with expert strategies to help you set achievable property goals, step-by-step guidance on budgeting and smart investment tips, and a structured workbook to help you prepare your own personal property plan. This is one webinar you can't afford to miss. Sign up now and start 2026 with a solid plan. The webinar is taking place on 28th March at 17 hours Zambian time. So register now using the link below, and we can't wait to see you there.
Welcome back. And Buying Property in Zambia will be hosting a property goal setting webinar at the end of March. That is their website there. Go there and sign up. If you live in the diaspora and you have property in Zambia, it's important for you to attend and participate in some of these things, because we have a lot of things going on, and it takes experts to help you to prepare. So go to the website and follow that link and sign up. Okay. I want to read this. No, first, here's what our people watching are saying. Okay. Just like most projects that start small and improved along the way, I'm glad that CDF has been increased with each new government, starting from MMDPF and now UPND. All right. She also says citizens think benefiting is being given money. Okay, some misconceptions there. All right. And so that's what
is wrong with that?
Yeah, let me here is something. Okay, I need to read this. The CDF constituency committee in each constituency shall consist of the following part-time members appointed by the minister: 2 community representatives nominated by the member of parliament from the constituency, 3 councillors in the constituency, 2 of them are elected by the councillors in the constituency, 1 representative of a chief, a representative of the director responsible for planning and local authority, a representative of the director responsible for works and engineering services, a representative of a civil society organization operating the constituency, a representative of a religious organization in the constituency, the member of parliament from the constituency, a representative of the director responsible for finance and whatever. Most constituencies do not have this category of people. Okay. My question, Vasakala. Transparency International Zambia has highlighted concerns about financial irregularities, including unauthorized changes to projects and failure to recover loans. How do you address that?
Okay. Thank you very much. But before I go into that, Hilda Molonda said information. And you see, our people are given information in English, and people in Shangombo, in the village, they have never translated the information about CDF in their local languages in which they can also understand, so that they can participate fully.
That's a big issue right there.
And another thing is, when you see what the requirements when they want these people to participate, they will tell you about ZRA, whatever report they want you to have. They want you to write a proposal. They want you to write so many documentation. And you find that these people in Shangombo, in the village, they will have something and they have the capacity to do something, right? But they don't know how to go about that. As a result, they are left out and they are complaining. But the question is, how can we cater for people like that? Because when we ask them to vote, we don't ask them too many, we just come with a ledge and this, and we help you. We have to help them with that. Now, coming to your question, repeat your question again, Pastor Nathan. I was there with what I was talking about before I could come to that.
Transparency International has highlighted concerns about financial irregularities, including unauthorized changes to projects and failure to recover loans.
Okay. how do we give loans? Before you get a loan, like in a segment of CDF, there is a part where they give loans. The people will come with they'll come up a corporation. They'll make a corporation, and they want them to have a proposal, and they want them to have whatever they call PTN from Zambia Revenue Authority. They most of the time they don't look at them for the capacity. How are they going to repay these loans? They just want to see the documentation which they have and they tick. But here, when the bank is giving you a loan, you have to say, okay, what are you going to do with this loan? What is the capacity for you to pay before they give you a loan? So that's why we find that people are given a loan. They look at themselves, they've been given $30,000, 30,000 kwacha or 2 million kwacha. They just look at themselves, guys, Turibanga, we are 15, in 2 million, okay, there is no way they are following up these people to pay these loans. As a result, this money, which is meant to be a revolving fund in a constituency, because it's not always that government should just be giving you. Government already established a way. In part of this CDF, the money should keep changing hands in the constituency. It shouldn't leave the constituency.
Of course, yeah.
That's why they introduced that portion of loans. So that Imwanga Mwakongola, after 6 months, Mwambo Kuwesha, others will come and get that money. But that money is not coming back to the constituency fund for others to get. That's the whole right there. What implementation should they do for the people to be paying back? Because that is already in the written document, but money is slipping away and nobody's recovering that money, which means there is already a money which is being lost, like just giving away, like we are saying they are loans, that they're not loans, they're grants, because nobody's is giving back the money and there's no system to collect. Tell me, how many people in the constituency have been taken to court or to jail for not paying the loan?
Yeah, but Bankama, just to piggyback on what Asakala is saying, and I think it's important, and I'm glad that, yes, we have UPND supporters here, but I think we're objectively looking at matters, because when you look at misappropriation of funds as raised by Transparency International, you find that a lot of these grants that are given to people are now used on personal activities, right? That means there is no proper monitoring system. There is no proper education of the people that are recipients of those grants to actually utilize the grants for what they got them for, right? So we have a capacity problem, you know? And then you have also other capacity constraints that are happening within the system itself. That's why I'm saying that, you know, you can't go from 1.6 million to 25.7 million without increasing the capacity of the system itself to handle that kind of an increase. So, for example, also when you look at low absorption, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if it was 2024, the Auditor General's report said that there was still money sitting in the banks that were meant for CDF at the end of that year.
Why?
That were not utilized, right? So you already have low absorption of those resources. But on the other hand, when you look at the amount of CDF money allocated to administrative costs, you know, these are people's salaries, these are people's, basically the administrators, that is almost 100% utilization. So the question becomes, why are monies that are meant for projects sitting in the bank while administrative monies are being utilized? So we have to kind of have a holistic approach to how we are looking at the utilization of CDF, the misappropriation, corruption, et cetera, et cetera.
So people are applying for, and you see the percentage breakdown that you gave, Sakala, 20%, 60%. To me, it defeats the whole purpose of why CDF was established. Why is 60% allocated to bigger projects when this was intended to help micro projects? My question is, Chairman, a greater extent of this, we're dealing with rural people, and they have to present project proposals. Is there a framework in place? Bakombe, Francis, everybody, Pastor Campbell, Ali. Is there a framework for people in Lusaka, Kitu, and Dola? It's different. The people in rural areas, is there a framework for them to be helped with project proposals?
Yes. The framework is there. I left out when I mentioned that each constituency is divided into wards.
Yes.
Every ward is also divided into zones. There is a zone, so you'd find that a ward has got 10 zones, 50 houses, 50 houses from here, another 50 houses, another 50 houses. From there, they appoint people who now bring suggestions. These are the projects we want to happen in our zone or in our zone, and those are combined to the ward. So the framework is there, very strong one for that matter. The question is the framework supported by capacity? Are there people to implement that framework? That is the major question we are dealing with this morning, and probably asking for suggestions here. We should not only, very easy, gentlemen, to point out problems. What is not easy is what are our proposals. We've been here almost 1 hour is about to end. What are the proposals we want in place to help out with CDF?
Okay, all right. So
let me jump in.
Yeah.
I wanted to address one critical issue here, and obviously I thank you, Pastor Campbell, for being very objective. Why? I don't know if the bird is here or is somewhere, but there's some feedback in the background.
It's Florida.
Oh yeah. So let's bring in a word here, Vankama. It's called patriotism. What is patriotism? And many of these issues really, and the challenges in how CDF is managed border on what I may call patriotism. The lack of transparency really is the idea that we haven't inculcated this culture into our folks, that this is your country. This money belongs to the country, and it has to be used the way it's supposed to be used to develop this country. But without that patriotism inculcated in our people, and that is a challenge. Today, I can pose this question. I have never seen any report, besides maybe one, that really tells me how this whole CDF is being spent, the CDF funds from the different constituencies. What is the problem? Why are we not transparent? Why don't we teach our people to be patriotic to some of these things that really shape the future of our nation? And that's the problem. If we can incorporate these things that help us to really design platforms that inculcate patriotism in our people, and then we become a little bit more transparent in how we spend, taxpayers' money, this will help truly. And I can tell you, Mankama, today that I still think that CDF hasn't gone to the grassroots as intended.
Okay. Francis, you wanted to come in?
Yes. I agree that we need a lot of work to try and perfect the whole system. We should also not forget that of the 156 members of parliament, the UPND only has about less than 90 of them. So this CDF program and mismanagement of funds and not spending on the projects that are demanded by the constituencies has been done by all MPs. Now, we used to have reports where certain MPs, like Shiwangandu, for instance, money was being held. Instead of being used for development, it was being held and used by some of the opposition members for them to turn around and say, this is what your government is not doing anything for you. They're giving CDF to other people, but they're not giving you the CDF to spend. So they're using CDF funds by not spending in the constituencies to decampaign the president. I think this is where we come in as a UPND and highlight. These are things we should show members of these communities to say every MP is given money so they can develop their constituency.
But Francis, that goes.
Let me just finish my point. Let me just finish my point real quick.
I think it will speak to your point. That is not just a political problem. That is a systems problem.
Correct.
That is an audit problem. Because if you've been given money and you're not using it for its intended purposes, what are the, not just political, but what are the criminal implications of what you're doing? Because then you're not following the law. Because this is not just no longer a government program. It is now inculcated into the Constitution. So then we have a weakness in the implementation and monitoring of the program.
Correct. And I'm glad, I agree with you. And I'm glad that now we are seeing people being prosecuted because of CDF mismanagement or misuse of money. Every day we're seeing all these people going to jail. Outrage the administration to put it even more firmer that we see people go in for a very long time. CDF money is federal money. People should be serious with this money. And I also would love to see, coming back to the communication issue again, the administration now going in and highlighting some of these things. We need to start to talk to Henry's point. We need to start talking to these people in the languages they understand. We cannot just go there and speak like politicians. Let's break it down. To come to Ali's point, not everybody is going to see money in their hands. We need to explain this to them. CDF doesn't mean we bring money to your door and you say, I have benefited. No, look at the bigger picture. But how do we do that? We need to send in people to explain development. A very good example I can give you is just in 2019, there were 3 provinces that were blacked out. Why? Because of the way they voted. Northwestern province, Western province, and Southern province. They were blacked out by the Patriotic Front under ECL solely because of the way they voted. And these are the people who are trying to come back again. Outrage people also. Yeah, it is the truth. Development was slow. This is factual. Correct. This is factual because a report was taken out to show that the 3 provinces, development in the 3 provinces, when it comes to government projects, was slow. And I'd like anybody to check me on that. A good example I can give you why CDF is working. I wish and I hope, Vankama, we've looked at the negative side of CDF. I hope we're also going to have a few minutes to talk about how it has been.
Pastor Kambo has got a little presentation on the successes of CDF, right?
Okay,
we shall look at that. Here's the. Let's move on. Let's show some. People have taken time to watch this, and we should acknowledge their input. Patricia says, and it's good to see Patricia, one of our consistent viewers. CDF is indeed a game changer. For me, I think stringent measures, everybody underline the word stringent, will come back to that. Measures must be taken on how much percentage is allotted to the development depending on the constituency level. A lot of it I have seen is going on building schools and some students still sitting on the floor. The question I'm thinking, is it because the people doing construction are allocated more? That's a very good question right there. She raises a very good point, okay? Okay.
There is no one sitting on the floor in Zambia today.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I will check again.
Nobody.
If so, I'm just thinking out aloud, this will also bring about what do you call it?
Corruption, right?
Corruption. Okay. Dr. Kaingo says, is free education even free? We only, most of us in the diaspora, we know there's nothing for free. Somebody is paying for it. Okay. I think to your point, she also says something here, Patricia, that through Henry, even remember, Chairman, us who've been here for years, remember we dealt with this issue, CECC. We even had the director of CECC here many years ago. A lot have been borrowed and not paying back. The names should be released so that people know who is owing. People need to be locked up for this.
Look at DBZ. DBZ went down because of this.
Because of the same problem that Patricia is talking about.
So in Lima Bank,
grants of 40 to 50,000 are free.
That's what we're talking about.
Let's talk about this. You cannot send, what's this year's allocation? I forget the number. What's
40,
this year's
40
allocation?
40 million.
You can't send 40 million just like that without proper structures in place. Come on, we all don't need to be accountants like Vahali here to know that even, you know, like one of my favorite pastors says, Pastor Campbell, Dr. Mensa Otabil, if you give somebody $1 million today, they'll go crazy. You can't just send 40 million kwacha Francis in a place without proper structures in place. To Roger's point, what needs to be done for this problem, starting with Vasakala? All of us will comment on this, and then we'll go to Pastor Campbell's presentation on CDF success. Vasakala, what needs to be done? You can't just send 40 million kwacha like that.
Exactly. I'll tell you this. If the composition of 40 million is 24 million for project, 8 million for grants, 8 million for bursaries and staff. Now, when you look at 8 million, and you are taking that 8 million in the hands of different people to borrow, and you look at 8 million, which you are giving people as grant. Grant is free money. Giving like, to the people.
I think, that's what Hilda is saying. Yeah, that's what she's saying here. Oh, I had it up there. Yeah.
And those grants, you need people to write proposals, what they are going to use that money. You find that people, they'll take Abe Shkuluba, Wishnaba Pongo, Shinaba Nani, at we are a corporation. Understand? We are a cooperative, and they present stuff. And you take that money and give it to them. What are you doing? You're not giving a cooperative. That is Section 8 in Zambia. You're giving people Section 8 free money to do whatever they want to do. And you don't monitor what they've said they're going to do. And another thing, you find that where there is free things, go on the market and say, we are giving this free money. There will be a big line of people coming to collect. And you find that a lot of people file for grants than those who file for projects, because they know grants, they're not going to pay. And grants, they can use whatever they want, provided it has been given to them. So we are not making people productive, and we are not making people responsible, because we are not following up on those grants which are giving them.
I like that point.
So
I like that point.
When you find people are even complaining about that, grants 50,000, 10,000, 15,000, it's because the amount of people who apply for grants is the whole village. Now, for the constituents committee to satisfy the people so that they don't riot or they don't start speaking ill about the party or about the government, they will try by all means to subdivide this 8 million into 10,000, 5,000, 12,000. And those projects, maybe somebody wants to start keeping chicken, he needs 25,000 and he can't access it. They give him 10,000. What is he going to do with it? He just take it in his pocket and eat. There should be the way of how do we change this, even if we give few people, provided they do what they said they're going to do, and we have to monitor them, even though it's free money.
Okay. Right.
It's good to, Chairman.
Chairman, go ahead.
Also, as we talk about the grants, that the old, the disabled, right now in the village, They are receiving to my 800 in the phone. It's going.
Is that from CDF?
Yes, that's part of CDF.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I thought no, that was part of the Ministry of
Social cash transfer.
Social cash
Yeah.
transfer. And it's development, whatever.
Oh, that doesn't come from CDF?
No.
No. I meant social work. What is it called again?
Oh,
Cash for work.
Cash for work. What I'm trying to point out, there are a lot of good things which are happening.
Yes.
It is very, very easy. Human nature, ladies and gentlemen who are listening, always to look at the negative. That is the danger of human nature. But there is a lot of good things. What is happening in the CDF? So the points like Masakara is bringing out, these are strong points. But we should not forget about the good things CDF is doing.
We shall let Campbell bring his presentation on what CDF is.
Sakara brings a good point, which the man I was speaking to yesterday. We have, let's say, 1 million, which should go as grants. And 1 million, we have 450,000 people applying to 1 million.
How many is here today?
Yo, but I think how much money is going to go around? So, in my view, CDF, rather than being a grant and being year-free, can we transform it into an investment vehicle? Say, for instance, a word, instead of going to pay a grant as a community to our tractor. Again, I repeat, in 2026, it does not make any sense. This money now, let's start to buy productive machinery. Instead of giving people, as a group here, as a zone, we are buying you 2-wheel tractors. And in Congole, when you produce a matter so much, it should come back and pay to the CDF. And when you pay back to the CDF, we will give you more money to buy machinery. If you don't, you will never see a dime from us.
And those who don't pay back needs to be held accountable.
Exactly.
In China, they lock them up 10 years. If you don't pay government money in China, they lock you up 10 years.
Oh yeah. Vahadi, the question is, how should we, something needs to be done. You're an accountant. You can't just throw 40 million kwacha just like that. What needs to be done? The structure.
Oh, it's very simple, Chair. Let's just go to the basics, right?
Yeah.
Rules of engagement. The rules of engagement, in my mind, they have to be rewritten. Okay, I spend so much time really digging in and understanding the fair play in all this whole CDF.
Yes.
And I can tell you that there are so many holes in how CDF is managed. And we have to be very strategic and come up with a fair game and rewrite some of the laws around how this CDF plays out. Okay? Without really missing out its intended purpose, because we always go back, what was the intended purpose of CDF? Okay, and we've mentioned a lot of things, and some of the things here include what you just bring up here, what you raised here. Should that money just go for free? There's no accountability. How do we obviously make this vehicle breathe real breathing, meaning it's a growing vehicle.
Yes.
We send out, we give out these monies out. Are we just going to forget about these monies? We don't see any transparency, any accuracy in terms of reporting. How do we just really, and I'll tell you, these are questions that really, go through my mind, and I'm like, if I'm given a minute to rewrite the rules in this CDF, we can make this CDF be a truly serious game changer and make it very effective on the ground than we are seeing now. And I agree. On the positive side, as the Chair Roger mentioned here, we have seen changes happening, but
Yeah.
Cyber.
No, just to pick up on what Ali was saying, you know, we have seen a lot of successes, but those successes have been inconsistent across constituencies. And to be fair, 40 million in one constituency in Lusaka, for example, will not have the same impact as Kanchiria, for example. And when you look at what is happening in Kanchiria, and I've made it public, I'm a big fan of the MP there. Yeah, Sande Chanda. Because he
one of the best.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm trying to bring Sunday here to talk about.
Oh, that would be good. That would be good to have him.
I've reached out to him. He hasn't responded. Maybe you fans can reach out also and help him to bring him.
Reach out to Sunday. He's a
Let's bring Sunday here to talk about
Yeah, but you see, like what Ali was saying, you know, we need every constituency in terms of transparency. We need to even have like radical transparency dashboards, right? Meaning, okay, at any one time, we should know how much has been allocated. What are the projects that are on this list? You know, who are the contractors who have been hired for this? What is the status of the project, you know? And what is the completion rate of these projects? All those are, you know, things that needs to be fixed in the system. But yes, CDF is having an impact in places that have lagged in development for a very, very long time. And there are certainly positives there. Decentralization is finally on the horizon. But I think what Ali is saying in terms of strengthening the systems is what we need right now for it to be more effective and do what it does. Yes, and we need to start.
Let me just add on to your point.
Okay, finish up and then Bakombe will make his final comment and we'll conclude with looking at the successes. Success stories.
The point is, can we do better? Yes, we can. And I'll give an example here during my research. India has had this CDF in their country for the past, since 1993, I think Ghana. And to your point, there's so many other countries that have the same CDF model, and it has worked for them. They are they've really reinvented themselves in terms of the rules around CDF, which we haven't done as UPND. We haven't tightened the rules around CDF in terms of transparency, in terms of obviously making it very effective, which I believe we can do better. So that is where I'm coming from, Chair Nkama, that we can do better than what we see now. There's a lot of so much headroom for improvement, and it's not happening. I'm sorry to say that.
Okay, Bakombe.
Thank you very much, Nkama. I think these are very valid points, and we want CDF to be successful because it is successful. If you look at just the development that was there before the president came in and upped the money, if you look at the development in the constituencies, in the district, even in the provinces, compare it to now. If you were looking at it from above, I think you'd see a lot of green now. There's a lot of development that's happening. I would urge my colleagues, when we say some of these programs are not working, let us pinpoint what can be changed, because it's the only way the administration will know. So if I say, I think we can do better in making sure that we have a quality control team that is strong, that goes around the country, quality control team, project monitoring teams, not from the constituencies, but independent, that visits these constituencies, looking at the programs and the money they've been given to run the programs, audit them, and then strengthen the punishment for abuse. Prosecute people who are abusing money that is intended for CDF, because that's federal money. This will improve many things. Quality is key. Let's not just give people, I saw a bridge being washed away, and it was an embarrassment. Such people should be written about, used as an example. because that's federal money. So I would urge my colleagues, even as we see mistakes and say there's a lot that can be improved, let's pinpoint and let's offer solutions to say, let's do this for it to go. Thank you.
Okay.
So the bridge that was washed away, who was arrested or prosecuted?
None.
I don't know about that.
Is I don't know.
No capacity of the people in the constituency
before
to
I
can
read,
do projects.
my sister says that Joy, she says we need systems that work accountability and honesty.
Yes.
All right.
That's what we're talking about.
Rahilda said Sunday Chanda has used media showcasing his works. We need to get Sunday Chanda here, and this point that Patricia is making is very important. Great topic. Really hope we had more MPs on the program from both angles to know from them where they are failing or making strides. Pastor Kambo, I'm giving you the assignment to bring me Sunday Chanda here. We need.
I'll reach out to him.
Let's
on Patricia's point.
To
me, this one should be a requirement by government that people, MPs or governments, one of your requirements, if you want a reimbursement, show us your appearances on radio. You explaining CDF. Show us that you appeared and you explained to the people. If you don't, a check mark is against you.
I'll give you Sunday Chanda's number when we finish.
Here's one requirement for CDF. I don't know. We'll just comment on this briefly because I want us to end with Pastor Campbell's success stories of some CDF. The council, and I quote, invites project proposals from the communities during the first quarter of every year through advertisements, open meetings, posters in conspicuous locations, and notifications to chiefs and village headmen. I think that's a question Sunday Chanda and the others can answer. I don't know. Anybody in here? Is this done? Do they do this?
Yes, yes.
It's done.
They do it.
Yes, that's the procedure.
Even on radio, on a community radio program, they go there. They announce.
They do. And as a matter of fact,
Babika has the procedure, but it's not in a contract.
When the radio programs are being, they call him. So no money about to map bridge contract. They are not working. People are calling in the radios, in the community radio.
That's good. To Vasakala's point, you remember what the parastatals used to do? They are looking for these positions. Everybody watching, let me know what you think we should discuss next time. I mean, I'm trying to address these issues which are, okay, as we go into election time. Here, let me tell you this. Here, I don't spew propaganda. I'm not that person, okay? Propaganda, I'm show you propaganda. Here, I'm going to fact check you. Remember what I did here when I said blah blah. No propaganda here. You need to speak facts. All right. This information I'm reading here, I got it from the parliament. The information in Deverenga. All right, Pastor Kambo, how has the CDF impacted communities, and there are any success stories that we can talk about?
Yes. Success stories we have seen, and I wish MPs themselves would come here, or people in their constituencies would come and testify as to what is happening. But we have seen clinics, we have seen schools, we have seen bridges being constructed. And those sound like not important things if you grew up in urban areas, but when a bridge is built in a rural area where people would actually stop going a certain area because it was a rainy season.
Children stop going to school.
Yes, children stop
Chairman,
going to
you
school.
remember we addressed this issue because school. Remember that time? Yeah, Northwestern Province. Yeah. We dealt with some of these issues. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've gone through this.
Yes, so I mean, for me, the three major successes, I think the policy success is important because, yes, decentralization as a policy has been in existence since 1991. when MMD came into power. I think that over the years, incrementally, each government has successive government has tried to bring that about. And I think CDF has been a great vehicle for that. And also delivery successes, like I've said, visible infrastructure, education inputs, et cetera. And of course, people are now able to participate. Now, the participation to me is skewed in terms of connections. How well is somebody connected to people who are in the system? And I think we need to democratize that access. So for me, the policy, the delivery, and participation are very important success stories. But in terms of the actual things that are happening, I think MPs and people in the constituencies will be able to testify to that fact.
Yeah, we're going to work on getting people from the constituencies to come and speak about this. And we've merely scratched the surface, like let's say. I just wanted us to see. But for me, the biggest thing is out of this, everybody, even when I go to church, there's only one line that comes out of what somebody preaches. Even here, for me, the biggest thing on this is you can't just send 40 million kwacha in a constituency like that. No, something needs to be done. I do appreciate the successes of CDF in the communities. One thing this program, this platform has pushed from inception, 18 years we've been here, is rural development. My colleague and friend here, whom you see here, don't talk to him about Lusaka, Tamwa. If you talk rural, you're going to sit and have a meal with Roger. And I'm right there with him. And I'll tell you what, for me, when I was reading this, gentlemen, and everybody watching, the statement that stood out to me was CDF was first approved by Parliament in 1995 to finance micro community projects. To me, that's the underlining thing over there. Okay? If you just grew up in Kitu and Dola, Tawaya, Kokumini, Lunga, and all those places, you will not appreciate what this is about. Pastor Campbell, thank you for taking the time. Badala, thanks, Brother Ali. Francis, always available when I call on you. Henry, don't become a stranger. Huh?
I'm not a stranger, Bankama. Nicho, Bamama Kumushi, Pariquataba, and Babidi Basunga. So Bali Bashapali Bazari. So Nali Bebsha, just sit here for the bomba, out of the bomba, in Yabana Bandi.
Ushebali pasa abana mukabe kuseba mama tubushabana bali pashile CDF tekupela vyo
that
speaks to explain.
I messaging you more money in your pockets.
I know.
Francis,
what we are going to do is to get the gentleman. I don't know, Chairman, can we bring the gentleman you interviewed here with 2 MPs? Would he agree?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Brother
because
Paul,
you see, what we try to avoid is we are here, okay? They are on the ground. The people I spoke to, I tried to bring up here, they said, you were nothing, you are playing games. Before even the show ends, I'll be global. You should come on your show.
But don't forget one important thing. You know, even though we're in the diaspora, we are interested parties. And this,
yes, very much.
We are making,
it needs to work.
Yes, and that's our role in the diaspora. Because I mean, someone sent me a message about diaspora. Whoa, you know, why are you commenting on this? Blah blah blah. You know, you're not on the ground. You don't know what's happening.
Exactly.
Why? If it's affecting my father, it's affecting me. What do you mean?
That's right.
And we're running business. We are employing Zambians back home. We're running businesses.
That's right.
Our job is only to send money.
Not to comment. You want my money for the uniform and not me to comment. You want transport money, but you don't want me to comment.
My phone has been buzzing.
Send me
Listen to this line. Listen to this line.
We even pay more tax than most people back home through the ventures that we engage ourselves in.
Gentlemen, thank you. Let me just I need to make my final closing remarks here before we go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we shall try to bring MPs to talk about this and give the first-hand information. Okay. Before we go, I have a few friends who are grieving. A dear young man I know just lost his mother. He lives in Arizona. My condolences. And a dear sister that I've known for years. She suffered a stroke, collapsed in the house. Unfortunately, they found her after hours earlier. Irene Manwachi is going to be with the Lord, for those who may not know. I wrote something on Facebook about the highs and lows about life. For me, February has become a highs and lows. Most of you may know that after my birthday, my 60th birthday, yeah, I'm 60 plus years old, although I look like this. 2 days after that, my sister died. And today, my dear friends, they had the unveiling of the tombstones. I wanted to share the pictures of the unveiling of the tombstones, but they sent them to me after the show. Life is like that, highs and lows, okay? Can you imagine, how do you deal with emotions like that? A celebration, and then you are grieving. Those are the things that we are dealing with, especially those of us in the diaspora. We are far away from home. And my family are these guys I've been talking to here. My association community. I live in Dallas, and Dallas is just an amazing community. Words can't even express. Get involved in your community. If you live in New York, California, wherever you are, Florida, North, South, Canada, United Kingdom, Canada, get involved in your community. It's a great support system. Trust me, I have benefited from him. It has helped me a lot. All these highs and lows. I'm sitting here today doing the show. My family was at Leopard's Hill Cemetery today unveiling the tombstone of my sister. Can you imagine the highs and the lows that I'm dealing with? That's why I call her my personal therapist, my sister Mutinta in Florida. She always asks me, how do you manage to do this? Wow, I said to myself, I really don't even have an answer to that question. Listen, if you are experiencing highs and lows, reach out to somebody in the community. The ZAM clergy will be having our regular prayer meeting tomorrow. Tune in on ZAM clergy page and you'll be able to follow. We want you to know that you are not alone. I know I'm not alone. I've got Roger, I've got Cambo, I've got Henry, I've got Ali, I've got Francis, I've got Auntie Joyce, I've got Nasirele, I've got Nelly, I've got... My list of people I can talk to is endless. What I'm trying to say is don't be alone. Vane, this statement of saying me, I don't hang out with Zambians, it's at your own peril. Trust me, you think I'm strong? I'm not strong. I'm as strong as my connections and the community that is around me. I am very connected. Not a connection connected so that you get CDF. I use my connection as a support system. When I'm not doing well, I call Roger and I tell him, man, things are tough. When I'm not doing well, I call Pastor Campbell. I call my friends. Okay, so I'm just encouraging you. La diaspora, have a good weekend. We shall see you next week. I do hope that you enjoyed our conversation. By no means, us being in diaspora, are we claiming that we are wise and we know everything. We just want to participate in the things that are going on in our motherland, Zambia. Whether I live in America, in Australia, in Canada, in whatever, you can't take out the Zambia in me. Have a good weekend.
Another year has passed. You're a Zambian living abroad and you still haven't made progress on your property investment goals. Does that sound familiar? The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack ambition. A lot of people fail because they just don't have a clear system to follow. And when you live abroad, the whole process of buying property can seem even more confusing. Lucky for you, we have just the thing to turn your property dreams into action. Join us for an exclusive session where we'll break down proven strategies to help you set, sustain, and achieve property goals in 2026. You'll even get a workbook to help you map out your own personal property investment plan. If securing your financial future through property is important to you, then sign up using the link below and join us for our property goal setting session for 2026. In just one session, you'll walk away with expert strategies to help you set achievable property goals, step-by-step guidance on budgeting and smart investment tips, and a structured workbook to help you prepare your own personal property plan. This is one webinar you can't afford to miss. Sign up now and start 2026 with a solid plan. The webinar is taking place on 28th March at 17 hours Zambian time. So register now using the link below, and we can't wait to see you there.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.